If you've been following US soccer for 10 years or 10 minutes, you've probably heard someone at some point bring up the MLS bias. The MLS bias is a theory that for one reason or another, MLS players are given preferential treatment when it comes to roster selection for the US men's national team. The theory has been around just about as long as MLS itself and is one of the most singularly discussed topics in all of US soccer. Now, today, I'm going to discuss why I believe there is in fact an MLS bias, but probably not for the reasons most people believe. All that and more on this episode of the Yank Report. What's up? My name is Sam. This is the Yank Report. We talk about the US men's national team. If you're into that kind of thing, please hit the subscribe button. The commonly held theory for the MLS bias by fans is that MLS has been using the US men's national team essentially as marketing for the league. Because MLS Soccer United Marketing, or SUM, and the US men's national team have been in business for many years, it's not a huge leap for many fans to wonder if there are at best some conflicts of interest present, or at worst, conspiracy by MLS to promote the league at the expense of the national team. And although Soccer United Marketing and the US men's national team have recently severed business ties, it's not slowed down the discussion of possible collusion. As is the case with most grand conspiracy theories, ultimately there's no real way to prove decisively whether MLS is controlling the national team. At least no proof that will satisfy the biggest believers on either side. For my money, I tend to believe that an organization with as many enemies as US Soccer would have leaked at some point over the years, and there have been ample opportunities for that leak to occur. Perhaps during the incredibly contentious 2018 US Soccer presidential election, perhaps during the investigation and eventual conviction of former US Soccer and CONCACAF rep Chuck Blazer, certainly during the US Soccer glass door scandal where current and former employees ripped the US Soccer House and the entire organization, and most recently during the ongoing US Soccer versus US Women's National Team lawsuit. If rumors of US Soccer's darkest secret were true, it certainly would have been in the best interest of one of those parties to bring it to light. But up until now, there's only hearsay and secondhand allegations. However, there's another factor present that, for me at least, clearly gives an advantage to MLS players whenever it comes to breaking into the US men's national team. It's not nefarious, it's not secret, and it has nothing to do with smoky backroom deals, good old boy networks, money, or greed. It's the January camp. That's it. Give me a second to explain. And guys, remember, a big reason why myself and other content creators are able to have conversations like this about US soccer is because of support from companies like OneFootball. OneFootball is a soccer app that I use daily, hourly almost, that allows you to track your favorite teams, your favorite players, your favorite leagues. I use it to see what games are on throughout the day. I just go in and put in all the players that I want to track, and all the games kind of populate right there for me. So I'm able to go in and see who's playing, and it's great on like a Yanks Abroad Saturday and Sunday whenever there's a ton of games going on. If you'd like a free download of the OneFootball app, you can click the link in the description. Not only will you be getting the latest news about your favorite teams and players, but you'll also be supporting the Yank Report directly and supporting a company that has directly supported a number of your favorite content creators. So thank you to OneFootball, and let's get back to the video. For those unfamiliar with the US men's national team, January camp, affectionately referred to by the fans as Camp Cupcake, it's a camp that takes place during the MLS offseason and is made up almost entirely of MLS players. The January camp is generally not held in high regard by the US men's national team fan base, but let's think about what the camp offers from a player perspective. MLS players are given an opportunity to get face time with the national team coach and show what they can do in a camp without any of the European-based players. As European-based players make up the majority of the first team at this point, that means players who are way down the depth chart who might otherwise never receive a call-up get an opportunity to show what they can do. In the past, the January camp has served as a springboard for MLS players to make a name for themselves and potentially earn a spot on the national team. But how does this contribute to an MLS bias? Well, we know that it's human nature to go with what you know. And if you're a national team coach looking to fill out a roster, choosing between a player that you've had in camp before and know what they can do versus a player that looks good on tape but you've never had in camp, which one are you going to choose? The one that you know and knows your system, or the one that may offer a bit more but will take some time to catch up to the flow and offers a bit more unknowns? More often than not, I think the coach is going to go with what he knows. And this is what we see over and over again. The reality is there is no equivalent to the January camp for European-based players. If a European-based player wants to make the national team, more often than not, they will be competing against our top guys like Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, John Brooks, Gio Reyna, not to mention all of our top guys from MLS. That means over time, guys who are on the fringe of the U.S. men's national team roster who are based in Europe, guys like Eric Palmer-Brown, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Dwayne Holmes, Julian Green, Matt Miazga, or even guys from past years like Alfredo Morales and Eric Lehigh, these players don't get opportunities that the MLS players do, and therefore inevitably are the odd man out when the coach is selecting his roster. So if we accept that the January camp is effectively giving MLS players an advantage when it comes to the national team over European-based players, is there anything we can do? Are we okay with a system that is essentially rewarding fringe MLS players and punishing fringe players who are European-based? And will this impact be compounded as more and more young players make early transfers from MLS to Europe before making their U.S. men's national team debuts? These are the questions that I hope U.S. soccer is asking itself as we look towards the future. For some, the answer is easy. It's to get rid of the January camp. The camp was originally created as like a Valley Forge of sorts for the U.S. men's national team when a large portion of the squad was MLS based. As this is no longer the case today, some feel like the camp should just go away. I don't necessarily agree. I'm not in favor of giving players less opportunities. I just want those opportunities to be distributed a bit more equitably. For me, the answer is clear. We got to carve out some FIFA dates for the sole purpose of exploring our European depth chart minus our established A-team guys. Bring together 23 European-based players and let's see if anything shakes out. It could give us an opportunity to call in some dual nats like maybe Malik Sanogo, Alex Maiton, Kik Pieri. We could see what the system looks like running through guys like Julian Green and Luca De La Torre. We could test out all kinds of different combinations and options, but at the end of the day, we'd at least be giving the players the same opportunities that their counterparts in MLS are receiving. And maybe no European-based player steps up and seizes that opportunity. That could happen. Maybe we'll find that the French MLS players are flat out better than the European guys. Maybe it makes no impact on the squad, but maybe it does work. Maybe we find the next Miles Robinson or Miles Turner, guys who have become huge contributors to the national team who just need an opportunity to show what they could do. And look, I realize that that's a tall ask. I fully understand that there aren't many throwaway international breaks out there. FIFA just seems intent on adding more and more international competitions to the schedule, and therefore international breaks tend to be either for competitive games or for ramping up to competitive games. And it's also true that the U.S. men's national team is one of the youngest national teams in the world, and giving our top players time on the field together is incredibly valuable. I get that it may not be possible for this to be an annual thing, but I think that the investment ultimately is worth it. Because either way, we need to recognize that whether innocently or nefariously, we've created a system that gives more opportunities to players in our domestic league, and as a national team that is still fairly desperate for quality depth at all positions, we're not in a place to leave stones unturned. We got to recognize the inequities and come up with some solutions, because if we don't, this problem's only going to get worse. Guys, I know this is one of the most divisive and contentious topics in all of U.S. soccer, so please keep it civil in the comment section, but I'm definitely curious to hear what you have to say on this subject. Do you actually believe that there is an MLS bias and that there's quotas? Do you think that there are some inequities and opportunities for MLS players versus European-based players? Let me know in the comment section. I know we did have a camp in Switzerland that was all European-based, but again, that was a case where all of our top guys were there. So it did give an opportunity for guys like Luca De La Torre and Julian Green, but it wasn't an opportunity without the top guys on the squad like we'll see in the upcoming January camp. So let me know what you think in the comment section. As always, si puede hablar español, dígame un comentario en español so I can practice writing and reading Spanish. You guys aren't leaving as many Spanish comments as you used to, so get back into the swing of leaving Spanish comments, man. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you really want to support the channel, you can become a member, get access to the videos for everybody else, get some cool badges, and some behind-the-scene content as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Sam, and this is the Yank Report.